Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah Hakwadash. Double honors into the apostles, double honors into the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen that look like those heathen. All right. And to the few wakwaf that are listening and learning, to you, I say shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And remember, the Israelites were scattered among all people. This is not a black thing. All right. That's that term, that black is a false social construct that was created to classify and create false narratives and to hide behind those narratives and to get away from truth. All right. But in this video, I watched this video. This is, I'm telling, man, this is the MOATS, mother of all talk shows. It is truly that. It should be called the father, though, you know, but that's how I know this dude is a Jake, man, trying to please that little fine wife of his. I believe his wife is Malaysian. Woman pleasing. with style. All right. And for you critics out there, for you denier of the scattered Israelites that don't look like a typical Israelites, I'm still waiting on the videos for you to show us with scriptures, all right, with examples in scriptures, how we identify the Israelite foreigners among the heathen that look like the heathen. I'm still waiting on those videos. All right. And until you produce that, you know, shut up. But in this video, he interviews Colonel McGregor, and Colonel McGregor, former United States Army military guy, he holds back no punches. And the division between Esau Edom, all right, is high as it's ever been. All right. There's rumors now that you even have rogue SEAL teams operating in America going after cartels in California. And I'm like, well, you know, if you got rogue SEAL teams, they should have went after all those people who are violating the Constitution and caused all the millions of deaths around the world with that medical tyranny a couple years ago. If you was gonna go rogue, that would have been the time. But anyway, look, and what else you have? You got the U.S. is basically threatening to destroy all the country's economies who seek justice against Netanyahu, a.k.a. Milikowski, and his constituents who have been committing these genocidal wars, these genocidal crimes of against humanity, all right, before the presence of the whole world, while the whole time screaming they're the victims and they're defending themselves. All right. Basically, you're taking a battle axe to a person who has a toothpick. All right. You're shooting missiles at a person who has a slingshot. All right. Yet you're the victim somehow. All right. The threat is real of the breaking up of the EU, the breaking up of NATO, and the separation, because now you got this talk of Europe first to counteract Trump's America first, which America can't be first as long as America is supporting Israel. I will say it again. America can't be first supporting Israel, because that means all the money, too much money and too much time is going to go into their issues, which a lot of their issues they created. All right. And that's just, it is what it is. Nevertheless, you can see the division, which is all scriptural. Now that the Israelites have woken up and are claiming their real identity, the people who have fraudulently claimed to have been us all along, them and the rest of the world is in trouble. This is Revelation. And then I'm going to let this video just play through, and I may stop it and now and then to interject with scripture. But I'm going to let it play mostly. But let me get these scriptures off first. This is Revelation, and I am feeling better. Thank you. You know, this crap is draining out of me. which I believe came from the clouds, the stratospheric aerosol injections, because every time they do them heavily and then the rain comes down, this happens to me. And there's a lot of other people who say the same thing, because I'm fine until then. It never happens until that happens. When they do the stratospheric aerosol injections and they spray across the skies all over, go nuts all across Chicago and the surrounding areas. And then like clockwork, a couple days later, the rain comes and brings it down. Here comes the headaches, the sinus pressure, and then this ugly yellow greenish mucus that comes out of my sinuses. All right. But this is our Revelation 17 and 15. And it reads, "And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. All the nations that the whore sits upon." The whore is basically America, Babylon the Great. And she sits upon the rest of the West, all the European and NATO nations. All right, and that's literally what this is saying. And the 10 horns, that's NATO itself. All right, that's why they try to change it, because I remember way back in 2007, 2008, when you would go on the internet, it would tell you that NATO started with 10 countries. Now all of a sudden, every source says 12. They're trying to duck this prophecy. All right, but it says, "Then the 10 horns that thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest in that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth," that whore. So what's happening is the Lord is pulling chess moves, sealing these men's instructions in their minds, in their sleep. All right, for the most part, that's scriptural. And they're making decisions, which is making enemies of their friends, making enemies of their allies, making very unwise decisions, trying to support Amalek, because Amalek is ruling them all, and he's ruling them very wickedly in a way that it benefits him only and not everyone else. All right, everyone that supports those Amalekites, is always to their own destruction, financially or in some way. Numbers 24 and 20. "And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations." All right, so who's first in this society? Who can you not talk about? Who controls the internet, the mainstream media, the airwaves, most law enforcement agencies, owns most of the huge buildings in almost every downtown in every city in America and around the world, especially in the Western countries, that is. It's Amalek. Who controls the banking system? The Federal Reserve, FBI, CIA, the medical institution, which has become the law in itself above the law of the land. At the top of everything that I just named is an Amalekite. "And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever." And that's exactly what's about to happen here in Chicago, and I believe in New York too. Amalek, they have their own private ambulance, couriers. All right, they're not going in the ambulances that everyone else goes in. They have their own. All right. So without any further ado, let's let Psalm 64 and 8 happen. All right, because I stand on it. I believe that George Galloway is a Jake, but General McGregor is not. General McGregor is a true blue Edomite, and he's mad at Amalek.
I'm terribly sorry that we don't have you in vision, but Colonel McGregor on the line is worth 10 people in vision. So I'm very glad that you have been able to join us, albeit in this way. I'd like your analysis first, please, on what could possibly go wrong with the United States, Britain, and France firing cruise missiles into Russia. How could that backfire?
Well, I think it's already begun to backfire. I'm afraid that the Russians, and specifically Mr. Putin and his inner circle, are frustrated at their inability to signal unambiguously to the West that they will not tolerate any more interference in Ukraine. From their standpoint, this war is effectively...
Reaching your weight loss goals starts with hers, where you can get access to compounded semaglutide injections.
Bastards.
coming to an end. They would like to negotiate an end to it, straighten out whatever needs to be straightened out geographically, and work with a new government in Kiev. And we have decided that we're going to try and bully them, which is a serious mistake. They've now lowered the nuclear threshold to the point where conceivably they could respond with a nuclear weapon. But frankly, given the hypersonic missiles at their disposal, and they are clearly ahead of us in the West with regard to this technology, I think...
Now, we told you this here at GMS years ago. I remember saying this back in 2011, 2012, that Russia's missile technology was far ahead of America's. Their missile technology is far superior. They're almost 4 decades ahead in technology, in missile technology, and that their missiles cannot be. America has no defense against against Russia's top missiles. They don't. Exclusively, two that I have in mind are the Satan 1 and the Satan 2. Right, Satan being divided against itself is it's comically ironic. All right, but I had so many people, military people as well, that would talk crap and come against. But now it's coming. They're admitting it. Colonel Douglas McGregor just told you that America's missile technology is inferior to Russia's. And I'm going to let you know the full skinny. By 4 decades. It says that Russia's technology is about 4 decades, 40 years ahead of America's. That's 2 generations. All right. Because, roughly every 20 years is a generation. But here we go.
I think they could probably do just as much damage with high-end explosives on conventional missiles with hypersonic capability that they could with nuclear weapons. But I think we have to consider the high possibility that we could really be on the verge of war with Russia.
Well, it's clear to me, you'll know better in Washington, but it's clear to me that a bloc has been formed between the most belligerent of the NATO European governments and the last ditchers, the dead enders in Washington, to try and stop any possibility of Donald Trump being able to bring an end to this war. Is that how it looks to you?
Well, I think that's true. The problem right now is that President Trump has actually allowed people working for him to send mixed signals. He recently appointed a new deputy national security advisor, this man, Sebastian Gorka. And he has already said publicly that when President Trump takes office, he's going to threaten Putin with a rise in aid to Ukraine if he doesn't agree to end the war. If that's true, that would be sheer lunacy. Then I'm afraid that right now, Mr. Putin and his inner circle may decide that they have nothing to lose by effectively challenging us to a war before Mr. Trump even reaches office.
You see, so Trump's rhetoric could actually cause, because he took a stance that he was going to stop these wars. All right. Remember, Russia was only responding to being attacked by America when they blew up those, by America and the rest of the West, when they blew up those military installations with ease, and now Trump is going back, sending mixed signals by saying he's going to support Ukraine and Israel. All right. Because the Israeli thing is only going to draw the rest of the West into war. And the Ukrainian thing is only going to draw the rest of the West into war. which people that actually can think straight don't want that to happen. But we know it's going to happen because it's prophecy. The Lord is guiding them. They think that they have free will and they don't. All right? And the people are mourning as a result of it. This is not Psalms, but Proverbs 29 and 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. The whole world is mourning because the wicked are ruling. Amalek is sitting at the top of that. So the whole world is in mourning. No one's really happy anywhere.
In other words, the signals coming out of Washington are a mix of arrogance, ignorance, and frankly, stupidity. The Trump who months ago said, well, we need to stop the killing, seems to have disappeared in favor of some new macho man who wants to demonstrate that he's really in control. And the truth is, George, we are not in control, and we are not the nation of 91. We're the nation of 2024. Our forces are very different now, and they're not terribly capable, and we're not prepared to challenge the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, or anybody to a regional war of any kind. And as you know, most of the world has turned against us because of our stance on Israel.
Wow, just like I said, Jeremiah 49 and 7. Concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? If they pulled out of, if the Israelis were to just leave and stop all their fighting on the 7 different fronts that they're on and leave the Palestinians alone, and Ukrainians would just give back Ukraine to Russia and just leave that area alone, there'd be no more issues. But who wants that to happen? The Lord, the people of the Lord don't want that to happen, and definitely the Lord don't want it to happen. But it just goes to show you that there's no wisdom in Teman. All right, these people they do what's opposite of right, and it hurts themselves and the people.
As a result, I think we should be much more interested in coming to some sort of terms privately with the Russians. It would put an end to this war in Ukraine.
This is a man that's afraid and knows when this is a man who knows when to fight and who knows not to fight. You can see this man actually has his scruple, has his mind. And it's like, we're facing a brutal defeat, or we could humbly, take the low on this, and then everything will work itself out. That's where Colonel McGregor's mind is. But, his constituents aren't paying attention to him. As a matter of fact, he's talking too much. They might end up doing something to him.
But instead, we have foolhardy people on all sides practicing public diplomacy in an effort to try to prove to everyone that they're tougher, better, smarter than their peers. The opposite, of course, is the case.
You're not a child, you're a man. So stop wearing so many layers to go outside and get the bearskin tactical.
Bastards.
Well, you lead me into an avenue I was going to leave to the end, but it makes more sense to raise it with you now. And I do so with some circumspection because, the fat lady hasn't sung yet. Donald Trump hasn't got these weirdos in his cabinet yet. And I still have some hope that the likes of you may end up in that administration in one way or another, one capacity or another. But so far, so bad. It is almost beyond parody that he sends the guitar-playing evangelical lunatic Mike Huckabee to be the ambassador to Israel. It seems incredible that little Marco Rubio, whom he showered with insults and who showered Trump with insults, should now be in charge of America's foreign policy. It's incredible that the new Secretary of Defense is a man who believes in the red heifers and the rebuilding of the temple, and who does not admit,
which is all Judaism hogwash. Look, Judaism does not line up with the Bible at all, with the Holy Scriptures. Judaism, their book of worship is not the Torah, the Tanakh. All right, they completely disregard the New Testament. Their holy book is the Talmud. Point blank, period. And the Bible tells you that there is no mate to her, no book to match to her. That's Isaiah 34:16. All right.
That there is such a thing as a Palestinian. And I could go on. Appointment after appointment after appointment has been disappointment after disappointment. How? Why? How did this happen?
I think we have to look at the sources of money and power that ultimately delivered the election for Donald Trump. And this is something that sadly characterizes business in Washington. You've certainly pointed to it to some extent in London. But in Washington right now, everybody knows where the money is. And the money is on the side of Israel. And as you point out, the evangelicals, but largely on the side of Israel and its agents here in the United States, who assembled enormous quantities of money and made it possible for him to win the election. So he's now hostage to his donors to a large extent. And I'm beginning to think that President Trump wanted desperately to be president as vindication for what he didn't end up with in 2020. But beyond that, I'm not sure how carefully he's considered everything. And George, you know, any president who is heavily engaged with conflicts overseas, which is where we are now, usually fails miserably at home. And he has a very, let us say, ambitious agenda here in the United States. History tells us that you can't do both at once. You can do one or the other. And right now he's being dragged in the direction of widening wars both in Ukraine and in the Middle East.
And that's all going back to the scriptures that said the least of the flock shall draw them out. The Amalekites, the small hats, are causing this third world war. They're the reason behind it. And there's no turning back.
And that doesn't bode well for the future. So I think a lot of people in the United States are already beginning to feel some sense of buyer's remorse that he's not turning out to be headed in the direction that everybody had hoped for, which was peace, end the conflicts, and a return to focus on what's important here at home.
The Daymaker pants by Public Rack. More comfortable than jeans, more stylish.
Get your ass off my screen.
Well, let's turn to what may be about to happen. My sources tell me that the Iranian strike in retaliation for Israel's strikes, this would make it 3-3 in footballing terms, is imminent, might even be in the air. And it's promised that it will be of a new type and will be condign punishment. Should it be so, the United States and the United Kingdom are committed to sacrificing our own soldiers' lives. They've said so in defense of Israel. And that could get very heavy promise indeed. If Iran hits Israel, are we into the feared regional war, all-out war in the region, from the Levant all the way to the Persian Gulf? And if so, how's that going to turn out?
I think we are, very definitely. Now, whether Iran strikes now or waits a little longer is unclear. To be frank, George, the waiting has worked in Iran's favor.
He's right. Iran attack on Israel is imminent. All right, the war will be from the Levant to the Persian Gulf because it's scriptural. The Bible says so.
The Russians, and to a lesser extent the Chinese and others, have built up very substantial integrated air defenses, added tremendously to Iran's military capabilities, particularly its missile arsenal. So Iran has really profited from the long pause. Israel has not. The situation inside Israel is dire. Their economy is in ruins. The population is gradually becoming demoralized. Some people say they are, but
millions of them have left already. This is how you know that they're not the people. When Israel goes home, there will be peace on earth, no more wars, all right, and they will prosper greatly. That's the opposite of what's happening, because these are the Edomites, all right, Ezekiel 36:5, all right, that basically commandeered the land of Israel and commandeered the heritage of Israel, and now they're being exposed.
I happen to watch Israeli television. It strikes me that they are being fed a steady stream of disinformation and lies, much as we are in the United States and in the United Kingdom.
They, you know, the young ones of them are really believe that they're the people of the Lord. They've been lied to. That's why in Jeremiah it says, surely our fathers have inherited lies. You've lied to these people and made them to believe that they're really the people of the Lord. But it's sad that the learned ones among them and the older ones among them, Milikowski, he knows. All right, they definitely know. Why else you think you had Salakia professors making books? You know, what was it? Slow-mo sand, the invention of the Jewish people. They were invented.
So I'm not sure they realize just yet how dire their situation is. But Mr. Netanyahu has only one hope left, and that is that the Iranians do, in fact, attack him and attack him decisively.
He needs that, because if this war stops, he goes to prison. He might even get the death penalty. And he stays in power if this war goes on. All right? But you'll find, you know, I highly suggest you go and watch this fully. But this is not going to stop, you know. This is actually bringing on Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. All right? Gog and Magog is going to bring on 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. You know, matter of fact, let's grab that one real quick. Because while this third war starts to go forth, coming out of Gog and Magog, you're going to see the breakdown of the societies and the cities. Hell, there's already rumor that you got a rogue SEAL team in California going after drug cartels. Well, you know what? You watch Snowfall. You know, maybe they should go after some of the CIA assets who started the drug trade into California, into the Americas. All right. Watch Snowfall and a whole host of other movies where they give you that. What was that movie? Don't Shoot the Messenger, I believe it was called, with Jeremy Renner. But this is 2nd Ezra 15 and 16 and 14 actually. And it says, woe unto the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So from America to all the other Western countries, you're going to see uprisings of the people. All right. America's military is weak as compared to 1991, as the colonel goes on to say later in this interview. All right. And the world's allies, or should I say the Western allies are against America's support for the Israelis, you know, in their genocidal, attack on those people, which is spiraling out of control and bringing the whole world into this third world war. All right. So, you know, and then, you know, like you said, the red heifers and the rebuilding of the temple was spiritual. As a matter of fact, the temple that they're claiming, that Temple Mount garbage, that's Fort Antonia. That's not even a temple. The Bible clearly tells you that there was no stone left standing. It tells you in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Let's grab the one in Luke. All right, 3 witnesses. Luke 21 and 6. Yeah, this was Yahushua. It was in red too. I always put his stuff in green, though, because he came in the barrel. But it says, I highlighted in green. That's what that means. It says, as for these things which ye behold, the days will come in which there will be there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. There was not one portion of the wall left standing. The Temple Mount that they dry hump and pray to their demonic gods, all right, is what's left of Fort Antonia, all right, a fort that was dedicated to Mark Antony that housed a Roman police force, basically, that was kept in Jerusalem to keep tabs on the Israelites. All right. So, you know, matter of fact, one last scripture, one of my favorites, Deuteronomy 29 and 33. Or 33:29, Salakia. And it reads, yeah. Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahweh, the shield of thy help, who is the sword of thy excellency, and thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee. Thou shalt tread upon their high places. So the Israelis, the U.S. government, and the powers that be keep being found to be liars. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash, Kwam Yasharallah, Abad Babal.